cadet scheme. So Leander weren't really winning internationally as they felt they should be, and that was the start of the scheme back in '68, and it went from strength to strength. But the bedrock was the sculling that was taught by Derek Drury at Emmanuel, and then that ran the scheme at Leander for 3 years, and he was joined by Donald Leggett. There's a star for you, a star coach for you. So that's where Emmanuel sort of kicked off into the international rowing scene.
And I bet you didn't think you were going to be able to get a history lesson at the National Schools Regatta. What a marvellous place this is. One never stops learning. So if you are with your smartphone or iPad, you're looking at the results, you'll see that provisionally in this event, the girls' coxed fours, there are provisional timings down. The Grange School and Kingston, Lee Rowing Club, St Edwards, Kingston Yarm, all with provisional times that would suggest they might go through to the semi-finals. Just while we're waiting for the next race, just a few facts that might be interesting to you. The National Schools Regatta is the premier competition for the junior rowers. As the name suggests, it is the national competition. So even if you are just competing here, you don't get through to the finals, you can say that you've actually raced in a national competition. It's got 153 schools and clubs that are here. It's grown hugely in size and scale from when it first started just outside Pangbourne College. And if you look at some of our Olympians, or recent Olympians, this is where they started their journey, competing at the National Schools Regatta. So if you're here throughout the weekend, you'll probably see over 5,000 competitors, young people, young athletes between 14 and 18 who will be racing here. So a little bit about the history, just to show Charlie that I can do history as well. It was founded in 1947 by Desmond Hill. And four schools raced in that first year: Shrewsbury, Bedford School, Radley and St Edwards, Oxford. So they were the first four back in 1947. It wasn't called the National Schools Regatta until 1964, and in '73 it moved to the 6-lane course at Home Pierpont, and that is of course where it's the nation's water sports centre, and when it was moved there in 1973 it gave a real kudos to the event. I'm sure you all know that for all of the athletes, all the competitors here, the added bonus of it being at Dorney is this is where the 2012 Olympics were held. I always liken this event to a jousting competition. If you just come out close to the lake and look up the lake, you'll just see all the flags of the schools and clubs that are here. And you've got boats coming down, and to me it reminds me of a modern jousting competition, but a much safer competition. The other thing you may not know is that National Schools Regatta is a registered charity and does help providing expertise for junior rowers and scullers. It's a not-for-profit organisation. It's run totally by volunteers, and the money that you have paid, and I know you probably at the time were a little bit begrudging of the very large note that you had to get out to pay for parking, a lot of the profit is given away in annual grants to schools and clubs to support junior rowing projects, because if you're a parent and you're involved, you'll know that rowing is not an inexpensive sport, and it's really very, very important, and it's at the heart of what the Committee of National Schools Regatta do. Is they want to open up rowing to as many young people as possible, and that is where some of your I think it's a purple coloured note that you would have had to have handed over, is where some of that money will go. So I hope you won't find it, or won't be so begrudging of that now that you know that a lot of that money will go back into the sport to ensure that people who might not have the opportunity to row are given that opportunity.
Well, thanks very much, Greg and Charlie. Great first session from them. And now we can turn our attention to the J14 coxed quads. The first of the crews just coming down to the line. That's St Joseph's College Rowing Club Ireland. That's their B crew. Sent 2 crews over, and believe you me, the Irish, when they send crews over here, they tend to mean business. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of time they're setting. .168, that's Trentham Boat Club from up near Nottingham. And 169, King's School Chester. Sorry, 173, Kingston, of course, rowing in their familiar Scarlet. Had a very good row. They've obviously 3 crews notched up finishing time, so far too early to say how the relative times work out. But Kingston, the best of the 3, the fastest of the 3 to have finished the course so far. Also notching up times, St Paul's School Boat Club, number 171. And Sir William Borlase has put in a good, strong performance, as you might expect from their A crew, number 170. Local school based in Marlow. .172, just approaching the finish line. That's St Joseph's College Ireland. That's their A crew. Now let's see how the A and B crews compare. We're waiting for the finish time to come flashing up on our screen. Always an interesting challenge when the B crew sometimes beats the A crew. 174. Now that's the 1863 club. That's their A crew, and they've notched up a very fast time indeed. That's looking good for them so far, but as I say, with so many crews taking part, massive entry in this event. And don't forget that in each of these time trials, the fastest 12 will go through to the A-B semi-finals in this afternoon's programme. The places 13 to 18 overall in each of these time trials, they'll contest the C final. 4 places, 13 to 18 overall in the competition. Now, of course, all crews that fail to make those semi-finals, they've got another chance to race in a week or two's time up at Nottingham with the brand new, no pun intended, Brandon Bravo Regatta, named in memory of the late Martin Brandon Bravo, a former president of British Rowing, a former president of Nottingham and Union Boat Club, who'd done so much during his long life to support the sport, not only nationally but also in and around the Nottingham area, and one of the guiding lights behind the development of the National Water Sports Centre at Home Pierpont. Well, as Greg was saying earlier, I'll be joined in the commentary tower on this occasion by Catherine Douglas, member of the GB Women's 8 last year, and taking time out from the squad at the moment, having fallen foul of the dreaded overtraining. Now, Catherine, tell us a little about that, because it is a word that we hear regularly from some of our elite athletes. Vicky Thornley suffered it last year, and it's obviously a balance, isn't it, between doing your very best, training very hard, but the balance between that and the all-important recovery periods.
That's it, Robert. Yeah, that's it, Robert. It's just balancing it. I didn't get the balance right, and I actually think it's because I haven't been eating my vegetables, so I fell short. So eat all your vegetables. I don't think that's why Vicky Thornley got it. Obviously, she's very good with her nutrition, but mine was probably because of that. So at the moment, I'm slurping down a spinach and kale smoothie, which is revolting everyone up here. That's delicious.
It looks like all these health drinks. It looks interesting on the outside, even though it's terribly good for you.
It's nice to be here. I've not actually been at Nat schools before, so great atmosphere here, I've got to say, even this early.
And it's great to see the enthusiasm because, of course, let's not forget, as Greg and Charlie were saying earlier, many of these athletes will go on up through the system. When you talk to many of our Olympians, they made their first tentative steps onto the water, racing at J14, J15, at Nat schools and other junior events around the country. So it'd be really interesting, wouldn't it, would be to try and pick out individuals from this event who are going to be the stars in 10 and 15 years' time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if you look at the men's 8 at the moment, you've got Ollie Wynne-Griffiths from Radley College and Tom George from Abingdon. Tom George was also Radley, I think. Ollie Cook from Abingdon, Matt Rossiter, Will Satch from Shiplake.
Mo Speahy from Surbiton High School,
that's it.
And we've seen many Surbiton crews racing so far this morning, and it really is a force to be reckoned with. And once you've got a guy of Mo's pedigree waving the flag internationally, doesn't that do great things for the school he or she attended back in the day, and give encouragement to the youngsters as they try and forge their own rowing careers?
Yeah, absolutely. Even being in the team and watching Mo Sabiki train, I'm inspired. So imagine if he came from your school. Awesome.
Now 193 coming down towards the line. That's Windsor Boys School C crew. Windsor Boys School entering this particular event in strength. Now 168 Trentham. Now they were due to have been second across the line. Second off the start. I suspect that they started way out of position. Maybe they were late reporting onto the start. 194, that's Royal Grammar School Lancaster, that's their B crew just crossing the line now. Joss Hall, Raphael Fox, Fred Calvert, and their stroke Louis Wallace Sargent, with coxed by Alex Wilson. Very interesting start order. Reading Blue Coat School A crew, number 179, just takes the klaxon there. Now just glancing across at the provisional finishing time so far, Kingston, Walbrook A and Guildford A seem to be hanging on to some of the qualifying positions, but as they say, still plenty of time. We're about halfway through this field in this J14 Cox quads. (197) Wallingford Rowing Club in their light blue and scarlet blades, just coming down towards the line. Sculling in a bit of a vacuum. It's always interesting, Catherine, isn't it, in a time trial, if you can use another crew or two to pace yourself, and a classic example of that is the 4s and 8s heads over the championship course, Mortlake to Putney. But when you're sculling in a vacuum, you have to scull your own race, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always easier to have someone to push off and kind of compare yourself to, but equally time trials are good just to be able to do your own thing and not worrying about other crews or worrying about where you're coming, and you have a race plan, you stick to it, and you keep doing the pushes that you've made in your race plan. So it can be a good thing or a bad thing, really.
Tiffin Boat Club A crew have just crossed the line, and then I think just approaching the line, I think we've got 205 Radnor House School. That's their A crew. They in turn are followed by 177, having just come down the road from High Wycombe, Royal Grammar School A crew, closely followed just half a length back by 203. And that, if my BDIs disturb me, Guildford Rowing Club, that's their B crew. .198 in black and red inside the last 100 metres. Well, that is Nottingham and Union, the club of which the late Martin Brandon Bravo was president. And I was telling you a little bit about the new Brandon Bravo Regatta, and that is being held specifically for those crews who will not make or would not make the semi-final. So it's a brand new regatta, and I suspect that it's going to prove to be quite popular. Being held, as I say, in a couple of weeks' time up at the National Water Sports Centre at Nottingham, and just a one-day event in its tentative early stages, and we look forward very much to seeing how that will shape up. Crew 200, Team Keen Sculling School. Now, you're not going to miss those on a dark night, are you, in those fluorescent day-glow tops? Team Keen, who started off as a series of indoor rowing clubs on the Ergos, but have rapidly developed over the last few years into a force to be reckoned with out on the water as well.
That's Archery School, just finishing now. Great little sprint finish from them.
It's always good, isn't it? Because you put in the work. Well, it's 1900 metres each of these time trials. They don't actually start off the official start system right up at the other end of the lake. But you know, you see the end in sight. You see the red marker buoys change colour, and so you go for a bit of a sprint, don't you? Really want to nail that time.
That's it. The key is to keep your eyes in the boat, which I mean, not even international level do people do that, but it's a lot of heads turning.
Well, of course, yes, and I think the heads have turned a little too early in the crew that's just coming down now. A little bit of a problem in the 3-seat. Looks as though somebody might even have slapped a blade there.
I think they've actually lost a blade. It looks like they've only got one blade.
Yeah, Clare's Court School, that's their B crew. Clare's Court from just down the road in Maidenhead.
Oh, you'd be so disappointed, all that training and hard work to lose a blade. I hope they've still done enough.
Doesn't look like it from the provisional times. Some small consolation for Clare's Court. Their A crew seems to be holding on to a qualifying position, but we'll wait official confirmation of that. Just still a dozen or so crews yet to finish the course. And then we'll be able to get the qualifying times and hopefully be able to announce those who move through to the AB semis. .208 Stratford upon Avon Boat Club. And then 209, that's Walbrook Rowing Club, that's their B crew, and then I think we're going to see the last crew in this event. That's the Windsor Boys School B crew, number 207. Yeah, we've got a few latecomers still to finish. This is Tiffin Boat Club B crew 201, just coming down towards the line. Obviously it's nice if the crews start off in the correct numerical order, but sometimes that's not the case for a whole variety of reasons, so don't be fooled by crews that finish out of order, because we have no easy way of recognising when they may have started out of order, and it's only when the finish times are announced that we know an accurate idea of who's qualified. And number 182, just approaching the line, King's College School Boat Club, that's their B crew.
Yeah. 7.5.
Yeah, well, just a few minutes ago we saw Clare's Court B crew have that problem. They lost a blade and probably fell out of the qualifying slot. Well, here's their C crew, looking pretty strong. Clare's Court, as I say, just up the road in Maidenhead, a club that has proved very strong indeed over the last several seasons.
They're very well timed, very good timing. Good back drive from the 2-seat there. Quick conditions here, Robert. Big tailwind. It looks like it's picking up.
Yeah, we've got pretty good weather forecasts, as you and I both know, Catherine, because you've raced here, I've commentated here, and we know that the weather conditions here at Eton Dorney can be a little bit challenging, but we've got some mixed weather. The mainly sun through today and tomorrow, maybe a little bit of rain threatening on Sunday was the last forecast I saw, but what wind there is appears to be direct tail, and that's good news because Dorney can suffer, can't they, from a cross tail which can produce a lane differential.
Yeah, straight tail is very unusual to have here. It doesn't matter so much with the time trials, but normally with the side-by-side, a cross tail or a cross head can be quite a disadvantage or our advantage depending on what lanes. So it's probably best to really take these time trials quite seriously so that you can get a good lane just in case the wind does swap.
Yeah, I suppose the shining example of that was the lightweight falls final at the 2012 Olympics, when there was a significant difference. I think I can say without too much debate, a significant difference between the lanes, and it was only later in the programme that the lanes were redrawn, but too late to affect the result of that particular race when we saw South Africa take their first ever Olympic gold medal in lightweight falls. Great result for that crew, but of course disappointment for others who thought they might have been in strong contention had the conditions been different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, little bit of a break now. I think we have definitely reached the end of that event, the J14 coxed quads. So we do have some unofficial results, so I better wait until they're official before I announce them. And this gives me time to advertise the National Schools Regatta shop, which is located on the finish line. I can see it clearly here from the island side, already doing great business. It's been open almost a couple of hours, and people are absolutely queuing up to buy the 2019 named long sleeve t-shirt. This contains the name of every competitor at the 2019 regatta, available in all standard sizes, of course. Yours for £26 each, and I know that's always a best seller at every NSR. There are other short-sleeved t-shirts in white and navy. You can get a navy sweatshirt, hoodies, beanies, caps, visors, National Schools Regatta teddies, rain jackets, key rings, you name it. So the ladies and gentlemen who are running the shop will be very keen to see you. And don't forget that it's the profits from that shop that helps run such a splendid regatta, and long may that continue. So the shop right by the finish line, on the main regatta spectator side, and they'll be looking forward to your custom.
And it says here, if you get a special purchase spend of £75 or more, and you get a free navy tote bag. So that's awesome.
Yeah, but you sit tight, Catherine, because we've got a little bit of commentating to do just yet. You can have your retail therapy later on, I think. Yeah, well, we're looking at the programme now. Next race due to start at 12 noon. That's the J14 Girls Octuples. About 25 crews racing. 6 fasted to go to the A final, and the next 6 to go to the B final. So there'll be no semis in this event. So a top 6 absolutely essential if you want to crack at the medals later in this afternoon's programme. Gives me a chance to talk about National Schools just in the few minutes before the next race gets underway. Of course, it's the premier competition for junior rowers in the UK, and it has grown massively in size and scale in the long years since it was first founded in 1947, that long ago. Of course, for many years it was held at Godstow, and then it moved to the
says seventh. Going to go on the 7th.
He resigns on the Conservative Party leader on the 7th of June.
Right, a week today. 1 week today. So she's got another week. She's got a week. Well, you've got to get the package on. You've got a week to.
Is it
2 weeks? So it's 2 weeks. You've got 2 weeks to.
Put your folders
2
away,
weeks. 2 weeks
do a
to
bit of
phone.
dusting.
Well, you've got to get the Wi-Fi transferred.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah.
pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly. There's got to be some.
It'll be quite tricky when there's, you know, because it's a busy time for moving. You've got to get house movers.
Yeah. Mrs. May said she had. Yeah, the other side of the.
Unigella. Just something else in from.
Yeah. Mrs. May said she had done my best to get the withdrawal agreement through.
And now I'm going to have a rest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, they all did a run so that they knew whoever was going to pick up the poison would have to say, Boris.
So the betting starts now, does it? That's when you get good odds.
Honestly,
I wouldn't bet on Boris because.
Oh.
Yeah, someone never heard of before. They're not all the dirt.
Yes, exactly right.
Someone that can take a few years to lead. At what run? Where's the accent of stuff, right? Oh, the right cheers,
No, that's what they're in for. They could be a lord in like 10 years' time.
No, the one that ahead of them. Too red for them.
Yeah, no, it's the fact that they're blades are white with a rectangle at the end of it, but the rectangle isn't all the way up.
That is right. You can try 2 things.
Very good. Very good. Exactly.
Well, we're now looking at some of the early riders in the J14 Girls Octuples time trial, just beginning to come down. Godolphin and Latimer School A crew were due to kick off the running, number 210, followed by Latimer Upper School, number 211. As Charlie and Greg were saying earlier, of course, octuples, fantastic experience for these athletes, but perfect synchrony necessary, because if something goes wrong, there's a little bit of a slip up for the blade, there's very little room for error, and suddenly you can have a shipwreck on your hands. But these leading contenders, I've got to hand it to them, looking pretty neat as they head their way down the course. The two leaders off the start, just coming inside the last 250 metres. There you go.
I was just saying, I've never actually even seen an octuple before. I would love to have a little go in one, but Robert was saying I'm too big. I'm too big. It'd probably go too fast, I think, actually, were his words. Which is very kind. Oh, but something's happened here in this first crew, I think. There was a crab caught in the bows there, but they've managed to recover that pretty well.
So the way the cues were happening was really okay for the naturalist.
Oh, another crab for, I think that's Godolphin and Latimer School in the 4-seat. But again, just recovers well, and I guess that's the key. You know, you take one duff stroke, you've got to make up for it in the next couple. And whoever recovers well and gets back on it, it shouldn't really affect it too much.
Because, of course, well, no, actually, just here.
Oh.
Because when you go over the ramp here, A, it damages the cables, and B, gives a bit of a jump in the pitch. So I haven't yet worked out. The original plan was that the cars would spin.
Yeah, there's a bit of a break there. Now there's three coming all at once.
We'll probably create a circle of our own. So the camera goes. So the camera will stop there. And then you should be able to call a race. And if you can't, you say, well, too close to call from our position, go and
Bit of a race to the finish here, all both side by side. Good practice for the semis and the finals. But it does encourage eyes to be out the boat.
What's the rule here for lanes? Do they go off in the lane and stay in the lane, or are they?
That's a very good question. They do seem to be finishing sort of.
There's Yarn Boat School just finishing off. That's their A
Because they're not then.
A boat. Looking pretty chilled there as they cross the line. Number 216 Emmanuel School with Henley Rowing Club just behind them. And that lovely pale blue, what's that called, a Cambridge blue boat. Henley looking very well put together. Good synchronisation there as they finish.
Luke's. So if they're not good, then no good.
Tell you what I think's so great about Nat Schools is even just walking up the towpath this morning, I saw so many ex-Olympians and medalists and stuff, so celebrities in their own right, just passing on the knowledge to the youngest. I think I saw Kate Greaves, she got Olympic silver medal in Rio. Matt Langridge, I think he's coaching Dulwich. I mean, he's got the whole shebang: the bronze, the gold, and the silver. Finishing off with the gold in Rio, and it's just awesome to see that they're passing on their knowledge and some tips. And obviously Matt Langridge, I think he was as a junior, the only Brit to become a world champion in the single as a Brit. I mean, he was a big guy. I mean, he did not look like a junior back then, you know, Benjamin Button story, I'd say, but he did well. It's nice to see so many feisty women out there in these octuples, really giving it their all.
Yeah, we've got some provisional results in. Latimer Upper School hanging on to the leading slot at the moment, entirely provisionally. I'd expected to see Henley Rowing Club A crew dent that, but they slipped in currently in second position. So still a lot to happen. We're almost halfway through the field here in this J14 girls octuples. Yeah, Catherine, we were talking about the wind and going to bring the subject up again because it is actually causing a little bit of poppy water out there, isn't it? And when you get this tailwind, it does generate conditions further down the course because it's got the whole 2,000 metres to get up speed. Do you think that's going to cause any difficulties for these crews?
I mean, it shouldn't do, and especially in an 8 and an octuple, it's a bit more stable than the smaller boats. But yeah, you've got to make sure you're making the shape and staying relaxed, especially in the last 500 metres or so when it gets a bit more boppily. But that's obviously when you want to start trying hard and start pushing as hard as you can, and you're very, very tired. So it's easier said than done.
Yeah, neat performance there from Putney High School Boat Club, just crossing the line, 2:22.
Oh, it's tight here, so you've got two crews here coming into the last 5-10 strokes. You just push off each other and you kind of can get a gauge of speed, which is unusual for a time trial.
Yeah, 2:24, the leading crew there, I think, was William Borley's A crew. Now, the second crew in that tussle seemed to have lost its number, so that's going to be an interesting one for the Finnish judges.
Yeah, so here comes 225, 226 and 227. Three crews all in a one racing.
Yeah, it's Bedford Girls' School leading that trio. 227 Surbiton High School Boat Club A crew. We were talking about Surbiton as the former school for Olympic champion Mo Speehy. Surbiton coming on very strongly in those closing stages.
And here's Headington School and Wimbledon coming up. Both looking very neat, not letting the wind affect them. Headington looking very chilled.
Yeah, they've got such a fantastic pedigree, haven't they? Now we wait with bated breath to see the Headington time.
Headington made a rower at Fiona Gammond, who she's won a medal in every world champ she was in under 23s and juniors, junior world champion. She was awesome in an 8.
Now, of course, the GB Women's 8 is going to the Europeans in a week's time, isn't it, Catherine? But unfortunately, not on this occasion with you featuring in the lineup. So it's a new lineup, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd probably be stronger without me. But yeah, it's a new lineup, and they're trying new things and swapping people about and stuff at the moment. But I'm excited for them to see what they can do. I think it's looking really promising, and under Jürgen Grobler now, who's taken over the women. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to see what they can do.
I think we should say, just for the avoidance of doubt, of course, Jürgen, who's been leading the men's heavyweight team for so long, and then the departure of Paul Thompson, who's gone off to coach in China, means that Jürgen has not shifted his supervision to the women. He's now looking after both the men and the women, isn't he? That's a big ask, surely.
Yeah, he's doing both, and it's a big ask, but I guess not for someone like Jürgen. I think he's doing a great job, and it's really promising, and it's actually brought us more together as a team. So the boys and the girls were all working together. It's been good.
So back to the action on the water. The Wallingford A crew with the blue and scarlet blades crossing the line now. Just a couple more crews to finish, I think. That's the LEHA crew. Do you want to talk about LEH? Lady Eleanor Hollis A crew just coming down towards the line now, inside the last 50 or so metres, approaching the black and yellow finish line. Last few strokes there.
Looking very strong indeed. All going over together and very synchronised. Probably one of the best crews I've seen so far.
Yeah, well, their time has gone up, and unofficially they haven't quite made the cut there for the top 6.
This is King's School Canterbury. Their A crew just finishing off the octuples. Look like they've raced hard, which is always good to see.
Yeah, King's School Canterbury, of course, the alma mater of Fran Horton. While we're talking about some of our GB Olympians, Fran, who was recently awarded the MBE for, well, she went to 5 Olympic Games, didn't she? And then finished up with a silver medal as a member of the GB Women's 8 at Rio 3 years ago.
Yeah, she really was an incredible athlete, but also what's incredible is seeing so many women and girls on the water today. I mean, to have 20 octuples in junior 14, I mean, that is a lot of girls, and it's awesome to see. There'll definitely be a few Olympians in there.
So that completes the lineup for the J14 girls octuples. Next race underway is the J14 girls coxed quads, due away in 9 minutes time at 12:30.
That microphone turned off. I think so. We've been commentating on the whole thing a bit.
So we can now bring you the official results of the J14 girls octuples, and in no particular order, the fastest 6 crews were Nottingham and Union Rowing Club, Latimer Upper School Boat Club, Henley Rowing Club A, Kingston Rowing Club, Wimbledon High School Boat Club A crew, and Surbiton High School Boat Club A crew. So those are the 6 fastest. And they will take part in the A final later in the afternoon's programme. And then the next 6 that will contest the B final include Enniskillen Royal Boat Club Ireland A crew, Sir William Perkins School Rowing Club A crew, Godolphin and Latimer School Boat Club A crew, Headington School Oxford Boat Club A crew, Lady Eleanor Hollis Boat Club A, and Yarm School Boat Club A crew. So those 6 crews contesting the B final.